In this video I will try to fix the issue that we have with our differential locker. In some people's opinion, functioning lockers or lockers in general are irrelevant. And why don't we all just drive around with locked axles if it's so beneficial? After traveling for almost a year in our 40-year-old G-Wagon, we decided to build a new rig from scratch. My wife Danya and I converted it from a rusty piece of shit to a kind of reliable Overlander. We traveled around 50,000 kilometers through 23 countries with it so far. The Iveco will be its progression, including all the things we've learned while building and traveling with it. Hey and welcome back to the channel. My name is Max and I will fix this locker today. No more excuses. Let's lock in and get this thing going again. I did some research and read that it's a really common issue that the lockers stop working or not working properly anymore. And the two levers here are for the front and back locker, and they are connected to Bowden cables engaging the lockers. Now you can see that the spring is not disengaging the mechanism anymore. So the spring, this one and this one, they engage and disengage the locker mechanism when the lever in the cab is pulled. And I think in this mechanism lays the problem that it got stiff and there's old oil in it, and the springs are not strong enough anymore to pull the lever back to disengage the locker inside of the axle. And I think one issue actually is that those locker systems get used way too little. In the G, the system is quite similar. It's not actuated mechanically, but rather hydraulically. And I think in those G forums, it's like a frequently reoccurring theme that someone is having issues with their lockers. And often it's people not even knowing what those lockers or those buttons or levers are. So I guess it proves my point that those lockers never get used. And I think therefore some part inside of this chain will just stop working because of not being moved enough. Usually with the G I do it like if we're not driving off-road or don't need the locker, that from time to time when I think about it I just actuate the locker to use it, disengage it again, but the moving parts were moved. But I don't know, I feel like the Iveco group of people or community is a little bit more homogeneous than the G group. I think the Iveco is less of a status symbol and most people probably buy it for its intended use and will use low gears, lockers, and not for having a G-Wagon for the ice cream shop. So what's the fuss now about those lockers? Why do people with 4x4s always talk about their lockers? Here's a little excursion on lockers. Every car's driven axle needs a differential. When driving around corners, the wheels need to cover different distances. In other words, the inner tire rotates slower than the outer one because the outer one has to cover more distance in the same time. An open differential allows this speed difference. If there was no open differential, the wheels connected to each other would be forced to rotate at the same speed. It would make it really hard to drive around corners and creating a lot of force on all the parts involved. In the worst case, breaking really expensive drivetrain components. But now the exception why differential lockers are so important for 4x4s. As said before, an open differential allows the wheels to rotate individually from each other. So now you can see I can spin this wheel but the other one is solid on the ground. So one is moving, the other isn't. Now the locker is engaged. Maybe it takes a second. Now it's locked and I can't spin the wheel anymore. So both wheels are connected to each other and will always spin at the same speed. Since the engine's power will always go to the wheel with least resistance, you will lose propulsion and get stuck once the wheel loses traction or lifts off the ground. Manufacturers can compensate for lockers by some degree with increased axle articulation, so the wheels will lose ground contact later. It's 2 days later. It snowed so much yesterday, so I couldn't continue with my stuff. This winter is insane. Like, I don't know the last time we had so much snow. But anyways, I started editing, and there was one thing I wanted to add to the whole locker thing. So the G, and I guess the Iveco as well, is not particularly famous for its axle articulation, so it compensates for that with lockers. So now the question, do you need lockers? Yes, maybe, I don't know. My experience is that I use it really rarely on the G, but when I used it, it was super helpful and I think was kind of a game changer, like making it or breaking it. And I think that's one of the biggest points for me with a locker. I think because of a locker you can go so slow and controlled, because I think usually the answer if you don't have a locker is to do it faster, to go over the obstacle where you lose traction. So the risk of breaking something is way higher, and I think especially when traveling, one of the most important things is to kind of preserve your car in a way, because you're not at home. Like, there's not your friend or someone in your village where you usually go to fix your car, or you don't have all the tools that you usually have at home. So I think it's really important to treat your car in a good way so it will last as long as possible, because things will break. I think it's not about if things will break, the question is more like when will they break. But I think I want to keep that to a minimum. So now back to the main program. Whew. So let's remove the locker now. So here's the locker mechanism, and it has this arm attached to it, and here is this kind of, let's call it finger, and that finger is moving from left to right when engaging and disengaging the locker, and inside of the axle moving like a claw, and that claw is opening and closing, and when it's closed it's interlocked. And the wheels can't rotate individually, and when it's open they can close. No, not possible. So this is the axle where the locker mechanism was sitting on, and there is that bigger groove, and that finger I showed you before will push this piece from left to right and engaging and disengaging that claw. I quickly removed the front locker off camera as well, and now I will clean everything. So first I will clean them now, just rough, like get the sand and grease off, and I think then I will drench them in something like WD-40. I have some of this basic cleaner concentrate left, and I think for the locker itself I will start with this. This one, or both, looks so much better now, but the one from the front that was so much covered in grease, I can't get everything off now, or I'm getting impatient. So I think I will just use some brake cleaner for the outside. And I was actually wondering if I should paint them already, because I think I will paint the axle and the frame and everything anyways. But now I guess it's the point where I have the best access, instead of doing it when it's bolted to the frame, to the axle. I think they look quite nice now. I decided that I will paint it tomorrow, but first I will soak it overnight. It's like WD-40, I would say. So I will drench the mechanism inside and leave it soaking overnight, move it from time to time, clean it up tomorrow and paint it tomorrow. So I will leave this overnight now and let it soak, and will move it from time to time, and see you tomorrow. Welcome back. It's not tomorrow, it's half an hour later, but I recognized it's working out so well. This is really amazing. I mean, it was soaking now for around half an hour and it's freely moving. Like before I couldn't move it at all, kind of like it was really hard work, like grabbing this and moving it a little bit, and now I'm using 2 fingers and it's moving. It's amazing. I refilled this one with silicone remover now. I will clean this one a little bit better now, let it dry overnight. It gets late now. I don't want to sand it today anymore, and then I will continue tomorrow. So I will sand them now and I will paint them today. That's amazing that this thing stops working now. Great. The button says switched on and something is not working. This is so fucking annoying. New task, finding out what the problem with this stupid thing is. It just randomly switches on and off and I can't use the switch. It's so annoying. Like, I kind of have time pressure because of the weather and I want to get things going. And then those kind of things happen. It's ridiculous. The thing is, I think something inside of the switch, I think the switch itself is broken, because now it's actually turned on, but I also can't feel the pressure point anymore in there. It doesn't lock in anymore, and it's just soft, like no pressure point. I don't know what the problem with that stupid switch is, but it's not working anymore. I thought about a fix. Electricians, don't watch this part, and hopefully it will get me going again. This is a really professional solution. Maybe I should become an electrician. I mean, I said I don't like electrics, but look at this. That's a switch, right? So now electricians can continue watching again. So I removed all of the loose paint flakes, I would say, and now I will sand it to make it a little bit smoother and paint it afterwards. So I have the parts inside of the house now. I will leave them there for, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, that they warm up a little bit. But actually this paint, I just checked the instructions again. It says you can use it up to -5 or -10, I think. And now we have, I think, 5 degrees. So perfect painting conditions. But yeah, I want to get this done. I had this left over at home. So we will see how it will work out. I had the paint inside of the house as well. I think it will make it better, even though the conditions are not ideal. So the parts, the paint, the thinner, everything was inside of the house for a while to have it at room temperature, and I think that should make things better. This is actually my first time using a real paint gun. So let's see how this will work. It's really hard to know how much to use. I think this should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. I painted the G-Wagon as well, but we actually used spray cans, or what is it called? Yeah, spray cans, and it was the 2-component one, so I think the paint itself was actually quite good, but I think the spray pattern is more of an issue, but not the paint itself. I mean, it lasts for a few years now and is fine, but the finish itself doesn't look so nice, but I guess you can do a better job with that as well. I think it looks kind of okay, but I had struggled to adjust the paint gun. But also I had the issue, the paint is so old, and I just put some thinner in there because I knew it was thick. But but I don't know, was it enough thinner or would have needed it more? Yeah, less than ideal, but I think it's perfect to learn with those kind of parts. No one will see, and if I mess up, I mess up. So I'm quite happy. And I think actually that one layer of paint is enough because it's so thick or way too thick, and I think the paint itself was too thick. So I will put it inside of the house now for drying, and I guess I will install it tomorrow. So it's a new day. Instead of snow, we have rain now. The snow is gone, but whatever, I can't change it. I will clean the surface now and install the locker again, and hopefully it will work just perfectly like new. I didn't find any instructions in the manual if I need to grease the inside or put oil in it. So what I thought, now I'll put some of the gear oil in there and move it around. So hopefully it will go in all the places, and maybe just add some grease then as well. Something a little bit thicker that won't run off. I also have a new paper seal, so I will put some grease on here and install the seal. I will lift the car now again and engage the locker and disengage the locker to see if it's working and if everything is moving freely. Now I can turn the wheel, and now I will engage the locker. It's engaged now, so it should lock now. Now it's locked. I can't rotate the wheel anymore. So I will disengage the locker again. So now the locker is disengaged. Yes, full success. That's amazing. Nice. This is amazing. Some progress. I'm really happy about that. So the locker is working again. Also, thank you guys for your eager participation after the last video. There were so many great comments and tips. I don't know yet what we will do with the axle. I guess it will be the longer gears, but I think it's not easy to decide. Rather to buy a complete new axle to keep the same gearing, just change the gears. We will see, and I think it's also dependent on the price. But I was also surprised the pricing was actually way better than I thought. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The next one probably will be from Portugal. I'm super excited. I wish you a nice weekend. See you next time.